Hello from the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication at Kent State University in lovely Northeast Ohio. Are PR and marketing more or less the same thing, or should they be treated as completely different endeavors? Today we examine this topic with Kent State PR professors Bill Sledzik and Dr. Batchelor.
Public relations. Those two words don't count. PR builds relationships and reputations through two-way communication and responsible policy.
Public relations, in 10 words or less, would be all of an organization's relationships with all of its potential audiences.
Marketing supports sales through distribution, promotion, and pricing strategies.
The easiest way to define marketing in 10 words or less is marketing is the umbrella term used for all communications that goes on in a corporation or organization.
Where do I stand on the convergence of marketing and public relations? Sometimes convergence of the two is a very good thing, and sometimes it's not a good thing. So it really depends on the context.
I think that there's very little difference between marketing and public relations in modern business. So I think the convergence is already taken place and it's going to continue.
Well, I guess if you look at the pluses and minuses of convergence of PR and marketing, it might be best to start with the positive, actually. Is that okay if I do that?
Sure, definitely.
Okay. Companies sell things. Companies sell products, companies sell services, and they need the help from both their marketing teams, their PR teams, they need their finance and accounting people and everybody on board. We all have to sit at the same table when that happens. When it comes time to position a product, even to position a brand to a certain degree, we all have to work together and we all have to have the same message. In those cases, I think we can check the titles at the door. I don't really think it matters. We're all communicators and we're all people trying to move those objectives forward. When we're not selling something is when it troubles me a little bit, because marketing really doesn't get involved in such things as public affairs. If we're trying to influence government and trying to help our companies or clients tell their stories to government. Employee communications, what's that have to do with marketing? Not a whole lot. We could argue that employees are important to the marketing effort, but it's really not the traditional kinds of marketing things that we see marketing people do. Here's what's interesting, though, is marketing's figured this out. They figured it out. Somewhere in the middle 90s, they said, you know, the stuff those PR people are doing makes a lot of sense, and we need to work with them. And now we get to the point where many, many marketing people consider public relations to be a subset of what they do. And therein lies, I think, another problem, because if we are tagged as only a marketing function, then we're only going to be called in when it's time to sell something.
I think the challenge is that marketing executives who come up through business schools and business programs and MBA programs assume that because the umbrella term is marketing, that they automatically have some power over the rest of the communicators, like their job is more important than the person who's the head of media relations or the head of internal communications. I don't see it that way, but that is a challenge that many communicators face within organizations. Business leaders understand marketing because they're forced to take marketing classes, whereas they're not forced to take public relations classes. The positives is that marketing, traditional marketing and public relations, when done well, all serve the same master, and that is the organization or person or corporation or business that has some goal or aspiration, has some service or product to sell. So whenever these two disciplines work well together, it's all done to achieve the overall goals and aspirations of the entity. So it's a powerful combination.
Oh, it's definitely going to be more converged. There's no doubt about it. With the advent of social media, with what we saw is the online conversation, everything comes together, because what people are talking about, when people are talking about your products and talking about your services online, that's a marketing issue. But it's also a public relations issue, because it affects reputation, it affects relationships. See, something happened back in the 1990s that pretty much everybody in marketing and PR recognized, and that is that the brand passed from control of the customer, or I'm sorry, control of the corporation, to the control of the customer. The customers really control our brand. What they say about us is what our brand is. That's what our reputation is. So both marketing and public relations have to play in that same sandbox. Problem is, the traditional function of marketing has been to sell stuff. And actually the traditional function of public relations has been to sell ideas as well. But somewhere in the 1980s, public relations began to move over into a more symmetrical kinds of discussion, where both parties were involved in the discussion. There was a little bit more balance.
I think that the convergence will continue, and it will continue based on technology, on social media. Never in the world's history has there been a time where technology has retracted. And I think in this case, in the contemporary world, as technology becomes a more vibrant part of people's lives, their lives as consumers, then that forces marketing and public relations to become even more hand in hand than they already are.